It was a quiet evening in the city, the kind where the hum of traffic felt distant and the world seemed to pause. Ravi, a 24-year-old software engineer, had just moved into his new apartment 3B, on the 5th floor of an old building in the heart of the city. The apartment was cheap, small, but had a peculiar charm. The previous tenant had left in a hurry, leaving behind a few belongings, a worn-out diary, a cracked mirror, and some old furniture. Ravi shrugged it off. Moving on from his previous life was all he wanted. But as night fell, a subtle unease settled over the apartment. Shadows stretched across the walls in unnatural ways. At first he ignored it. Everyone gets paranoid the first night in a new place, he thought. The first night passed uneventfully. But the next morning, Ravi found the diary slightly open on the floor, facing a page he hadn't read. Scribbled in messy handwriting were the words, "Do not look behind the curtains. Whatever you see will follow you forever." He laughed nervously, thinking it was the previous tenant's idea of a prank. But when he looked at the window, the curtains swayed lightly, despite the fact that he had closed the window completely. Over the next few days, Ravi noticed strange occurrences. Lights flickered. Cold drafts swept through the apartment, even when the windows were shut. And sometimes he could swear he heard soft whispers from the empty kitchen. One evening, while working late on his laptop, he glanced at the cracked mirror. At first, nothing seemed wrong, but then a shadow moved behind him, a dark silhouette that lingered just beyond the glass. Heart pounding, he turned around. Nothing. The whispers grew louder over the following week, sometimes in the bathroom, sometimes in his bedroom. Ravi started feeling watched. He told himself it was stress, lack of sleep, but the diary warned him, and that warning played in his mind every time he ignored the noises. Do not look behind the curtains. Whatever you see will follow you forever. One night, curiosity overwhelmed fear. He slowly approached the living room window and pulled the curtain aside. What he saw froze him in place. Across the street, in the darkened apartment opposite, he could see a figure staring directly at him. It was tall, silent, almost floating. And then, without a blink, it was gone. Ravi tried to leave the apartment, but every time he opened the front door, the hallway seemed endless, stretching farther than it should. Walls warped slightly, shadows twisting unnaturally. He realized he was trapped. Neighbors were scarce. The few he saw avoided eye contact. An old man on the first floor muttered something under his breath, something about apartment 3B being cursed, haunted, a trap for anyone who dared live there alone. Sleep became impossible. Ravi started seeing the shadow inside the apartment, sometimes in the bathroom, sometimes in his bedroom, always silent, always watching. Objects would move on their own, books fell from shelves, chairs toppled over, and the diary kept opening to the same page. Ravi began documenting everything: timestamps, locations, patterns. He needed proof, anything to make sense of this. One evening, Ravi set up his phone to record overnight. He sat in the dark, staring at the curtains. Around 2:43 a.m., the shadow appeared. Not just in the corner this time. It came closer, gliding across the room silently. Ravi froze. He wanted to scream, but his body refused to obey. The shadow paused, right in front of him. A chilling sensation ran through his entire body, like ice wrapping around his soul. The phone recorded everything. The screen's reflection showed the shadow's face, featureless but terrifyingly real. Eyes that weren't there, yet it looked into him. The next morning, Ravi played the recording. The shadow had vanished, leaving only a faint, dark smudge in the video. Neighbors reported hearing screams, but when they arrived, they found no one, only apartment 3B's door locked from the inside. Ravi realized that leaving wouldn't be easy. Whatever was in that apartment, it followed him, even outside. He noticed subtle shadows moving in reflections, corners of his eyes, passing strangers who stared a little too long. Desperation set in. He researched old tenants, found newspaper articles about strange disappearances, mysterious illnesses, and even deaths linked to apartment 3B. The building had a history, hidden from the public, erased from records, but the shadow persisted. Ravi knew he had two options: to confront it or succumb. He decided to confront it. One final night, he stood in the center of the apartment, lights off, diary in hand. Whispering the last warning aloud, he felt the shadow approach, but this time, he didn't run. He acknowledged it. "I see you. You have no power over me." For a moment, silence. Then, slowly, the shadow receded, melting into the corners of the apartment. Ravi collapsed, exhausted, but alive. The diary remained open, the warning still there, as if waiting for the next tenant. Ravi never returned to apartment 3B, but sometimes, late at night, he still glimpses a shadow out of the corner of his eye, reminding him that some things never truly leave.